Tony Stark, remember? Before Disney killed me? Before they started their woke agenda? Even before I campaigned for the Democrats as Robert Downey Jr., we turned against the fans. Remember? They might make another Iron Man movie, but it's probably going to be a woman, or they're going to change the character completely, which is completely fine, because everybody deserves a shot. And if they don't know how to do it, I'm sure in a few 10, 20 years, they can learn. So, until then, you're stuck with me. What's up, people? Rob Rambo here. Help me get to 50 so I can go live, so I can ask people the real questions, so that way we can get into some stuff. I was going to curse, but I want to keep my language down. We're going to make fun of some Democrats today. It's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be pretty simple. We're going to do it. So, with that said, let's go ahead and pull up some Nancy Pelosi. I hate this woman. This woman is so crooked.
Committee before it even started. So you have to ask the question, why would she do that? Because it isn't only a partisan witch hunt. It's an attempt that we now know, based on reports over the weekend, that the committee is being used to advance the radical Democrat agenda that includes abolishing the Electoral College. But it's also a cover-up. Speaker Pelosi blocked us because she's afraid of what a real investigation would uncover. She doesn't want Americans to find out what really happened on January 6th and leading up to it.
I think she's worth $204 million on a $150,000, $200,000 a year salary. Where did that money come from? Anybody that wants to trade stocks, there's an app and a website out there. It basically is created to follow all of Nancy and her husband's stock portfolio. So if you want to get rich, go ahead and look into that.
And she doesn't want anyone asking questions about her role and her responsibilities in securing the United States Capitol. That's why the committee is refusing to answer basic questions about January 6th. In fact, blocking these questions from even being asked. Questions that must be answered to keep the Capitol safe and to prevent another riot or incident like January 6th from ever happening again in the future. What questions am I talking about? First of all, Capitol police officers, we now know, were half-staffed on January 6th because of COVID. How is that? 2, why were our Capitol police officers under-equipped? Why were some officers forced to face down a riot with either expired helmets or no helmets at all? 3, why was the United States Capitol Police never trained to deal with riots after all of the riots that were going on in the summer of 2020? 4, did Speaker Pelosi communicate with the House Sergeant-at-Arms on January 6th or in the days leading up to the riot? 5, was Speaker Pelosi...
Everybody at Doge right now, Elon just said spray paint. So they're saying that the Fort Knox gold might not be there, or it might be fake. If that's true, the world's going to go into chaos, because that's our money. These people that are up here, lifelong politicians that haven't done anything in 40 years, they're taking your money. They're taking your money. And that's what you're fighting for. Every time you try to stop Elon or Trump, you'll have another shot in 4 years. Why don't you settle down and do if you're so democratic, be democratic. Just see what happens. The world's not going to explode.
To delay the National Guard assistance on January 6th. 6, why didn't the Capitol Police Intelligence Unit raise the alarm about potential violence when they had evidence and intelligence for weeks leading up to January 6th that something violent could happen?
Binder.
7, why did the FBI deploy commandos to Quantico on January 3rd with shoot-to-kill authority but fail to send the U.S. Capitol Police a single threat assessment or intelligence bulletin? 8, why did the House Sergeant-at-Arms refuse to cooperate with the Senate Homeland Security's bipartisan January 6th investigation? Those are just some of the questions that Jim Jordan and I were prepared to ask if we were able to participate in this investigation and in these hearings. But Nancy Pelosi blocked us from the committee.
And don't forget, January 6th, she's on video talking to her daughter or her daughter-in-law, admitting that she had the opportunity to get National Guard troops. Trump offered several thousand of them to stop the protest, and she turned it down. And that's on the record. Look into it for anybody. Comment down below.
Because she knows that those questions leave a trail of breadcrumbs right back to the Speaker's office. Today in my hometown in Columbia City, my constituents are paying $5.25 for a gallon of gas. There hasn't been a single committee hearing on Capitol Hill about rising gas prices, let alone one in prime time for all of the American people to see. But the American people are sick and tired of what they're getting out of this Pelosi and Democrat-led Congress. They're tired of the theatrics. They want their congressmen and women to focus on the issues that matter most to them, but instead this is what we're left up to. It's a shame, and I believe that it will backfire big time on these Democrats as we near the election to come.
Just for the record, this hearing is not being done in isolation. It's been carefully coordinated with the House Armed Services Committee, and not only has their blessing, but a bipartisan blessing to hold this hearing. Also, without objection, I'd like to submit for the record Secretary Miller's transcribed interview under oath to the Select Committee on January 6th, 2 excerpts. So, Mr. Miller, did you try to read, well, let me back up. On January 3rd, did you have, or even prior, did you have all the authorities needed in terms of activating, deploying the D.C. National Guard? And he said, yes, I felt I did. Did you need any additional authorities, or was there a discussion about your authorities in any way at the January 3rd meeting? No, I didn't. I felt like I had all the authorities I needed and did not need to discuss anything with the president regarding authorities. Another question. So, Mr. Miller, did you try to reach President Trump that day? I did not. Why not? I had all the authorities I needed to perform my duties, responsibilities that day, and didn't need any other guidance from the president. I now recognize the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Griffith, for 5 minutes for an opening statement.
And let me start, Mr. Chairman, by submitting for the record the Army timeline of events from December 31st, 2020 through January 7, 2021. That report dated January 7, 2021.
Without objection.
I find some of the comments this morning interesting because I too was on the floor that day, and I find it interesting because there's an allegation that the Commander-in-Chief has to call everybody who's in the chain of command to make sure his orders are followed. It is my understanding, and I believe that the evidence today will show from these gentlemen who have given their time and are whistleblowers, meaning they're coming forward with something that other people may not want to have heard, that we will discover.
What does the world come to when you got people in the CIA and FBI that actively disobey orders and believe that they're above the law and believe that they're these gatekeepers of these secrets that the American public's too stupid to know about or understand? What in reality, what they're really doing is hoarding technology and everything else that they can that keeps them in power, and then they dole it out to us. Half of this technology has been around for a long time. So hold on, my video messed up. Let me try to switch. Uh-oh. So my video stopped. I don't know if it's even working now. Great. Okay, are we back now? Is it working again? Sorry about that. It froze up for a minute. I need to upgrade my computer and everything else, so let's just get back to the video. Help me get to 50 so I can upgrade.
That in fact, the president had given the instruction, perhaps misunderstood on January 3rd, but certainly on January 6th, prior to that instruction being relayed by his officers in accordance with general military procedure to the D.C. National Guard. And that's a big part of what this hearing will be about today. And I think it's important that we keep that in mind. Further, we've heard a lot about the attempts to rewrite history because the January 6th committee is allegedly supposed to have already done all of this. But we will hear, I believe, from these gentlemen today that they were not talked to by the January 6th commission. And further, that commission will forever in history be tainted because it was the first time in history, in an attempt to write the history after the fact, that both sides, both major parties in this political situation that we have found ourselves in for the last 175, 200 years, both were not invited to participate in an equal manner. That the Republican representatives who were supposed to be on that, who was originally set up, were supposed to be a part of the January 6th committee, were not allowed to be present. They were not allowed to cross-examine witnesses. They were not allowed to ask for witnesses like these four brave gentlemen who are here with us today. They weren't allowed to call those witnesses to appear in front of the January 6th committee. So while the January 6th committee may have found some very interesting information, they intentionally chose not to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. At the very best, it can be described as a partial attempt to put forward facts that favored their side of the narrative and not to get to all the facts. And as Jack Webb and his famous character from Dragnet used to say, the facts. We just want the facts, ma'am. That's what we're here to do today, is to try to make sure that we're getting to the facts, not the political rhetoric, not the emotions per se, but the facts from four brave gentlemen who serve our nation and have served our nation, who have come forward. I don't know.
So yeah, gist of it, they're trying to investigate Nancy Pelosi, and it's about time. All of them need to be investigated. We don't want to go on to this boring. Comment down below if you believe that when they do these committees, if they're not just wasting massive amounts of time. I have a clip that I'm going to upload of a committee having a meeting, and somebody says a word that somebody doesn't like, and the whole committee blew up, and they had to strike it from the comment. And then the Democratic leaders had problems with it, so they objected. That took about 10 minutes. Then they had to do it in a verbal vote, and it took like 30 minutes just because of a word. I believe they're wasting our money, and they're doing this stuff on purpose. I believe that people like Nancy and this guy right here, my favorite guy that I love to hate, Adam Schiff, need to retire and need to leave the office and get away from Washington as far away as they can go. And now my video is messing up again. I need to upgrade. But let's watch this, if it'll start.
Let's bring in right now Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California. He's a member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator, thanks so much for being with us today. Of course, President Zelensky and President Trump will be meeting in the White House. We had Keir Starmer yesterday and Macron earlier this week meeting there. What do you want to see out of this meeting, and what concerns do you have going into this meeting?
Well, there's a meeting in the White House of the leader of the free world, and Donald Trump is also going to be there because, sadly, he's not the leader of the free world. The administration is turning American foreign policy into a kind of protection racket. So I'm deeply concerned about this, and the fact that in the run-up to this meeting, the administration has so badly betrayed our Ukraine ally and our NATO allies, blaming Ukraine for the war, calling Zelensky a dictator, and then demanding mineral rights to not even provide a security guarantee, but essentially to maintain good favor with the president. And
I'd love to have a sporting event and box this dude. I would love to box this dude, just with some gloves, Just be like, okay, you're a Democratic leader, so you're a leader of this country. You're one of the leaders. You should be strong. You should have moral values, integrity, honor. You have none of that, sir. If I was to box you in the ring, I'd punch you right in your neck. How could I miss it? The thing is 10 feet long. Dude, you're a joke and you're treasonous, in my opinion. My opinion, I believe that the majority of American people would want you removed from office. Comment down below if you believe the same. Should Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi continue to get rich off of the taxpayers and stay in office?
I just have never felt such shame about American policy before, and I don't know how our allies trust us after this. In terms of what I can hope for out of this meeting, I can only hope the president doesn't betray our ideals more than he has already, that Ukraine isn't forced to give up something for nothing, that nothing the president says or does in this meeting is going to further undermine Ukraine's position in any negotiation that goes on. I have to think that Zelensky is coming to this meeting in an effort to try to right the relationship and by trying to give up something for the goodwill of the president, because it certainly doesn't appear like he's getting much in this deal by way of a real security guarantee.
So, Senator, in 2014, Republican senators were very critical of Barack Obama for not providing military assistance to Ukraine as quickly as they needed it. In 2022 and 2023, you had Republican House members and some senators also being critical of Joe Biden, suggesting that he wasn't doing enough to support and defend Ukraine. I'm curious, where are your Republican colleagues on this issue? They seem to be quite strident, and I will say I agreed with them in the defense of Ukraine against Russia and against Russian invasions. I am curious, though, where are they now?
Well, it's a good question. And look, I was also critical of the Biden administration at times for not leaning into more support for Ukraine, for taking so long to provide HIMARS and other vital military materiel to Ukraine. But we're in a whole different place now, where the question is not how quickly are we providing aid, but whether
Look at that evil face. He's laughing at you. He's laughing at every American. They think you're dumb. They think we're ignorant and we don't see right through these lies. This man is paid to litigate for the Democrats. You notice how he's always the one asking questions because he was a lawyer and he likes to put people on the spot and bait them. You, sir, are treasonous, and every time you look in the mirror, oh boy, how do you look in the mirror? Why don't you talk to real Americans instead of going on the news or running away from Americans in the street? Why don't you talk to real Americans and see what they think about you, Schiff? You're crooked and a criminal. You don't deserve to lead the people of the United States. Shame. Now, on a lighter note, I want to show somebody this. Remember D's nuts? D's nuts. Apparently, there was a kid that ran for president when Trump and Hillary was running. We're going to check that out real quick. And then we'll leave it on that note. I just wanted people to see some of the things these shady people, the more people see how shady they are, the better it is for the American public to wake up. Here it is. Remember, I live in a rural area, so it takes a second for my internet.
To run for president.
I'm Brady Olson. I'm 15, and I'm the presidential candidate known as D's Nuts.
And we're up achieving a crazy result.
D's nuts. Yep, you heard me right. He is gaining traction in North Carolina
Okay,
with
good.
9% of voters saying they'd vote for him.
He got 9% in North Carolina. That's about 1 million people. Let that sink in. Welvin therefore joked that he'd also run for president, as the D's Nuts campaign had helped out with publicity.
1.2 million followers. Good God.
Having no bitches was now a problem of the past.
I've seen you surrounded by women. When I was at the open mic, like I didn't even get a chance to talk to you.
Now Harry Balls.
Famous celebrities. He'd meet Birdman, Nipsey
Wait, so how did he become homeless then?
Hussle, Dan Bilzerian, and most notably Kendrick Lamar, who introduced himself as Welvin the
I just wanted to see that. I just wanted everybody to see that. I didn't know this kid ran for president at 15 years old. Got over 1 million votes for these nuts. These nuts. Maybe him and Harry Balls can get together and save America. Make America great again, everybody. Like I said, I need 50 subscribers so I can go live. So, please follow these directions right here. Even if you don't watch. Even if you hate me. Even if you hate me. We'll be glorious. We'll grow together. Comment down below. Tell me if you think we should lock up Crooked Nancy and Adam Schiff in his neck.